Welcome to Inside the Ink, where we uncover real stories from the creative minds and businesses shaping professional printing. Built in 1971, Printing Center USA found its groove when ink met paper, and we've been rolling ever since. This is for people like you, creators making ideas real. Welcome to the Inside. I'm joined today by author and illustrator of an amazing children's book series, Gnomes of Nomz. Today, we have Tiger Freeman.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's your day today?
Fantastic, Zoe.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Tiger, I'm really curious. You have 11 books. 11. Okay, that's not just a hobby. That's a lot more than a hobby. That's a whole universe.
Yes. And it all started with, so picture it, Christmas party, snowing outside to beat heck. And I go to a Christmas party where they have a white elephant party, a white elephant Christmas party.
Yes.
Now, I have not been to a white elephant before, so I didn't know that the presents could get stolen. So the company, there's about 60 employees there.
Right.
And they tell us about the rules of the game, about the white elephant. And I'm number 7 out of 55. And so I thought to myself, well, there's no way I'm going to steal a present. That would be ugly. Then number 6 unwrapped a Christmas present from all the presents that she picked out. She unwrapped it, and it was this most glorious little stuffed gnome. He had reindeer on his pajamas, and he was carrying a train, and there were bells on his hat. And before the wrapping paper hit the floor, I was number 7, so I knew I could steal it. So I threw that number up in the air and shot across the room and grabbed that little guy and hung onto him for about 30 different people. And finally, of course, the white elephant, he got stolen. And so as soon as the lady stole him from out of my arms, I was 52 years old. I burst out crying like a little kid. And I spent the rest of the party at 52 years old Googling, gnomes with trains with pajamas, gnomes with trains and pajamas. Oh, Etsy saved my life. Well, Etsy did not save my life. And I was walking out the door with the consolation prize of salt and pepper shakers when there was a tap on my shoulder that said, I didn't want anybody else to steal him, so I took him for you. And I turned around and I said, I've never loved anyone more than I love you right now. To a lady that I didn't even know. She worked the night shift and I worked the day shift. And she said, can I give him back to you? And I said, all I have are salt and pepper shakers. And she said, that's all I want. And I was like, oh my goodness. So all that pouting, and she had stolen Sawyer so that nobody else could. And I went home feeling, okay, I made a scene. I was 52 years old. I pouted. I did this. I did that. And I was Sawyer. And I went home and I put this stuffed animal in the Christmas tree, and I spent less than 3 hours and finished his entire story.
Whoa.
From beginning to end. Yeah. And just started it right off. Sawyer is this. And it's in poetry form. So it just flowed and flowed. And not one word has changed since 2022 when I wrote that book. I just kept reading and rereading the story. And I was really proud of it. And I began to see the village in Sawyer's story. And when he stole the dime and put it in a safe place, I could see what that looked like. And I could envision everything about Jonas's office. It had to be eclectic and amazing. It had to have books all over and rustic colors. And then, the tree houses started forming in my head, and I can see everything. And then the characters just started coming up to me, and they were a foot tall because it says so in the book. And and I was like, oh yeah. And then the next thing you know, all these characters start telling me their stories. And so I wrote 5 stories within 5 months. And I built this whole little world. And that's how it started.
Whoa. So I'm really curious. Did you know who the lady was that saved the gnome plushie for you?
I know her name is Cindy, and that's all I know because she quit like a week or 2 later. And she was on a different shift.
Right.
And so I would give anything to find her.
Right.
I at the very least give her one of every book. Look what she started. But I especially want to give her Sawyer because he pouts, and that's his whole personality. He pouts and he whines and he's in trouble all the time because his book is called Sawyer's Always in Trouble.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was in trouble.
Losing him?
Yeah, losing him.
Yeah, you just lost him.
And but I went to so much trouble to get him back. And but the fact that I pouted, so I knew right away that he was going to be a pouter. and that he was going to be a little entitled, and that, but here's the fun part about Sawyer. He celebrates Christmas every day of the year, and he loves Jesus. And he doesn't get presents every day. He gives presents. He might find a favorite rock,
Right.
and he'll wrap it up and go give it to somebody who needs a rock for whatever reason. Or he'll write a poem to Jesus. And then at night, and after, when he does his prayers, he'll open up that present for Jesus and he'll read him the poem.
That's so
And
cool.
right.
I
And
love
so
that.
you have to love him. Like, I want everybody to love me because I am Sawyer, and I want everybody to love me as much as I love Sawyer. But let's be downright frank, we're both always in trouble. Even though we both celebrate Christmas and every day of the year and we love Jesus, but neither one of us can stay out of trouble. And so, but I would give anything to find her and at least give her copies of Sawyer and a little wanted poster and all
Right.
kinds of things I have, because she helped me start this.
Right.
And incidentally, when I was at this same place of employment, there was a lady there that worked with me who helped me get started on learning the characters. And she helped me get the characters in order because I had 36 of them. And but she was instrumental in helping me, and she's a different kind of artist. She's a like huge artist.
Oh, wow.
And she does these incredible things, but you know, she helped me get going.
Yeah.
And and so I owe her a debt of gratitude as well, because she helped me organize so much, and you know, and stuff. And she was a neighbor too, so she was fun.
That's so cool.
It was fun.
Wow. Cool. You ready for the second one?
I am.
Awesome, awesome. So you write and illustrate these amazing books, you guys. Check this out. This is just gorgeous and so much fun too. Like, if you guys can get your hands on this, definitely do it. But you write and illustrate these. So tell me, which is harder for you? Which is more challenging?
The illustrations are really hard. It's funny though, because like so if I have a story and I'm ready to write the story and I'm ready to illustrate the story, and I sit down and I illustrate, if I don't end up consistent, then it ends up taking a lot longer than expected. And for example, when I wrote my dinosaur book, Tater and the Dinosaurs of Montana, that came about as a research project from a homeschool program that my boys and I did. And so Tater's book is our notes from our homeschool.
Whoa.
Right. So I had all that writing. And so I just picked out the 20 dinosaurs, and then I just started writing one at a time. And so a couple of months go by, and all of a sudden I have the whole book
Done.
but I had no idea the background.
Right.
And so I went to dive into that, and but diving into the background and making consistent, you know, making everything consistent in the
takes a lot.
I don't even know where to begin with how hard the illustration is, but how easy the writing is. And the reason why the writing is so fun for me, and his writing is fun for me.
Yeah.
But I have a master's degree and in library science.
Wow.
And a major, and my bachelor's was in history. And
That's so cool.
right, so I love to write.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of all of the college classes, you know, the teacher will stand up at the front. You're going to do this and you're going to do that, and we need 12 pages of paper on this and a 10-page paper on this and then a presentation on that. And the whole classroom collectively goes, "Oh my God!" And I'm going, "Yes, 2 papers!" And so, because I'm like, "Oh, just give me a phrase. I can do 9 pages on anything." And so, so when I get an idea for a book, it's like, oh, I got to stop myself. Because 40 pages is nothing for me.
Yeah.
I got to condense. And my rewrites are not rewriting. They're cutting down on all the stuff that I blurred out in rapid fashion. And so I would say that cutting down what I find easy, you know, and everybody is like, well, how do you do all this writing? And but honestly, it's
too natural.
So easy. And well, like, other people can play musical instruments. Oh, not me. Other people can sing. Well, I sing a lot of duets with Toby Mac, but believe me, nobody else can hear it, and it's in the car. And I sound great as the windows are rattling off. But you know, so we all have our different talents. But the one thing I can do is, you give me an idea, I will produce for you anything. And give me enough time and I will produce the whole background for it. And I have a way with it.
That's beautiful how it comes so naturally. That's true talent. I love it.
It's the only one I've got. So I like to hang on to it.
Yeah, as best you can. Don't let go.
I'll take this. So, but yeah, and I
awesome.
didn't even publish until I was 55 years old.
Oh.
And so something that is natural that I should have been doing, that I've been doing since I was 14, which is writing and writing and writing.
Mhm.
And but it finally came about when I was 55.
Right, never
And
too late.
but see, that was just last year, like
Oh.
less than a year ago. So that's the reason why my passion and my enthusiasm is so fresh. It's just constant
Yes.
because all these ideas that I've had for 41 years and the stories, now I get a chance to, oh, look, I can do it. And
Yeah.
so the more I learn, the more I do, and it just rolls and rolls from there. And
Whoa.
so
That's beautifully amazing. Like, wow. That's kind of mind blowing to me as somebody who kind of struggles to write. I see your perspective on cutting down. I'm a cutting down type of person too, but not quite that much.
oh
How
yeah.
fun. Well, wait. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So children's books, they seem simple. They're illustrated simply, they're written with simple words, but they're far from simple. And I'm sure you know that the best.
Oh yes. And well, like yeah, you're right about that.
What do you think is the hardest part?
See, now most people have a lot of trouble with keeping the plot or having the plot or
Uh-huh.
keeping something consistent
Yeah.
or keeping a story interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't honestly have that problem. I mean, when I talk to other writers and they tell me, well, I'm stuck on this, I'm stuck on that, I can't really relate yet. The only thing that I can relate to is that in 2011, I actually wrote and finished the first book in a young adult chapter series about two brothers that are elves, and it's this whole medieval village, and their uncle is an elf and he lives in the mountains, and then you've got this, and we've got a king and a castle in the middle of the world, and the two brothers, their first book, they save a dragon. Well, I started this in 2011, got
Uh-huh.
almost finished with the book. The boys are almost to the cave where the dragon is, and I realized I stopped dead because I didn't have a bad guy. And it's like, okay, I can lead up with these minions because there's a minion that's attacking that caused the dragon to need to be saved.
Oh.
So we meet the minion, and I knew all about these minions, and I was ready for them because I already
Boy.
started them. But I didn't know who their bad guy was. And
Right.
so that was 2011. I got blocked
Whoa.
with that. And so it was 2 months ago. I'm walking across the house, and I like, oh, the bad guy just boom. I can see him, and I can see how terrifying he is, and how he lords over everybody, and I can see all of it, and how he manipulates the minions, and I know his name. I know what he sounds like now. I know everything. And
That's so
so
cool.
I think probably the hardest thing for people to underestimate, especially if they're writing chapter books, which is the bulk of writing nowadays, is not picture books, it's chapter books.
Right.
I would say the bulk of that is when you get stuck. Sometimes you get stuck. And because I've been a 14-year stuck,
Mm-hmm.
and now I haven't had a chance because this has taken off so much. I haven't had a chance to go back
Right.
and even fix what could be a really good book
Right.
if I could just get in. So I would say probably when you get a creative block,
Yeah.
it is awful hard. And as a writer, when you got a lot of creativity, you have to sometimes focus. For example, I'll focus on a book that I'm doing about Montana. And the little character that I'm going to have is called Dusty Buckaroo. And Dusty Buckaroo knows all about Montana.
So those creative blocks are huge for a lot of writers. What else do they underestimate?
The cost. So
Wow.
people think, oh, they just put it together and they do this and then they send it off to a printer. Oh, isn't that lovely? A couple of $1,000s later. No, let me tell you. So, for example, my first book, even though I did all the background art and all the writing and I designed it myself, it still cost so much because I didn't know enough that I had to hire somebody to help me I had to hire somebody to help me with character illustrations, and I had to hire somebody, and so
Right.
all this money is being put out and put out.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're into a book for $20,000.
Whoa.
Yeah. And now it's up to me to market it and get other people interested in it. And now I got to sell it. And then if I want to sell it to as a bulk to a store or to Barnes and Noble or anybody like that, now they want 40 more percent.
Right.
So we ended up adding up the bulk of so the whole cost for what it cost for the first book to make, and then how many copies we got. We added it up. It was some obnoxious amount, something like $180 a book, because we're trying to get started. And we've got our flying monkeys up back here going, "Oh yeah, but the reprints are going to be so much easier." No, they aren't.
Not
They're
one
just
bit.
as expensive and they're just as hard. And so but people underestimate the cost. I
Yeah.
mean, I hesitate to even say how much I'm into this.
Yeah.
And here we are coming up on tax season, our first tax season with it. And we looked at the loss
Yeah.
last week and we're like, oh, we put that much money into this. And, because now you got to market yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not even the time it takes to do everything.
Yeah.
And,
That's on
but
top of it
phew,
all.
oh yeah. And so people underestimate the cost a
Yeah.
whole lot. And then
Mhm.
people want to know how much my books cost,
Right.
like, oh, how much did it cost you to do this book? I said, "Well, oh my God, that's such
Can't
a
even
loaded
tell you.
question."
Yeah.
Right. So right. And but yeah, because they think that they can publish for that much.
Mm-hmm.
And so such a loaded question. And which is why, now that I'm with Printing Center USA, it's going to be a lot easier to help people because, a lot of the pricing questions that I get, oh, how'd you do this? And when did you do that? And how much did it cost? It's a lot more black and white now versus where I've been.
It's
And so
amazing.
it's going to be way easier for me to help other writers and illustrators who want to
Right.
print now because one of the biggest problems that I have was actually finding a partner. I wanted a publishing partner. And so I went through 9 books without a partner, and
Mm-hmm.
then I finally got Printing Center USA. And so now I can really help people get going. And cuz now I can totally funnel them
Right.
into answering the questions that they want from me. And that is a burden off of me, and then I get to help them too.
Yeah. Provide
And
some clarity all around.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And encouragement too,
Yeah.
because as soon as they see my enthusiasm that I have now, which is huge, well, they want that enthusiasm too. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, I can tell you beginning to end now. I can even, and so it's really nice when you've got a team and when you've got everything behind you, and when
Yes.
all right, this team has my back, and Printing Center USA is right there. And now I can send somebody to Printing Center USA and I can say, tell them Tiger sends you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And it all goes, every time you call, somebody answers the phone here. The professionalism is just second to none. And so honestly, one of the greatest things I've learned is you have to go through a process. But I tell you, once you get to Printing Center USA and you got your team, now you've got the ball rolling. And now you're happening.
I love to hear it. And the partnership is just as valuable for us. We are so lucky to have printed these. That's just another step in the road, like you said, inspiring other people to do it. We love to watch other people get inspired,
Right?
get excited
Yeah,
about
I
print. Like,
know.
that's so much fun. And watching your books come through the shop, like we took a tour earlier, you guys, and it was just magical seeing yours actually there,
Oh,
being
yeah.
printed, being cut, and then seeing the covers. Like, that's just unmatched.
Oh, yeah, I got to see all the whole stack of uncut
That was
covers.
so cool.
And the printing machine, it was like the size of our garage. It was amazing. They had these printing cartridges that were 2 foot tall. It was so incredible. I got a picture, and I have to post it somewhere. But it was so neat to do the tour and meet everybody. And it's like, this guy does your cutting. Hey, oh, I love your books. Thank you. And it's like everybody's a teammate, and I love it. Love it.
Love that, Tiger. I love it so much. We're happy to have you.
Oh, not as happy as I am.
So, at what point did you realize you weren't just writing for the kids? You were writing for the adults, reading them too.
I'm so glad you asked. So when I started pitching my books, and I only started out with 2 books in last June, And so I started talking to kids. Kids have the attention span of a moth. And so they would float off, and I found myself pitching the whole story to parents and grandparents. And so I would tell them about the story, and I would say that, welcome to Gnomes. The village of Gnomes is safe and sound, far away in a world that no one has found. And then I go through and I say, in this book, I tell you all about the characters in the village, and I tell you how to get in my little world. And I flip to the page where the bear is guarding the door, but you can see the cave to get in the world.
Right.
And the kids are like hanging off the lights and sticking their fingers up their nose, but the grandparents are enamored. And I have a ton of people when I start reading the book, they say, "Oh, can you just read them to me at night?" And they're all like my age. And so
I know.
yeah, and so it's kind of precious. And but I found that honestly pitching the stories
Mhm.
to the grandparents and the parents, and the storybook sections are read aloud. They're put in
Right.
poetry form, and they're
Yeah.
designed for children, to be read aloud.
Right.
They're beginner books for children, but they were written to be read aloud.
Right.
And so I realized very fast, don't focus on the kids, but focus on the big people. And you win over the big people. But so now I've won over the grandparents. But the fun part is that when we're doing shows, there will be a kid that'll come by, and you'll see all this excitement, and they'll run up to my booth like they know me. And of course, I can't remember them. And I go, "Hey, how are you? What you doing?" And they'll touch a book and look at me, and then they'll run off. And then they come back, sure enough, dragging grandma. And I'm like, okay, here comes the pitch.
Yep.
And so, but one thing I have figured out to do, keep the kids entertained. I have this little bowl of gnomes that are about this big. And yeah, and I give away one. They get to pick out one when they
Right.
buy a book.
That's so cool.
And so I figured out how to occupy, so now the kids are playing in the gnomes, and I have the attention of the pocketbooks. And but it melds together because they see the parents get excited, and then when I tell the grandparents, but you read aloud.
Mm.
And then when I start reading it,
Mhm.
they get an idea of how to read it. And you can see the grandparents light up the best. And all the light bulb goes off. Oh, I can read like that. Yes, you can.
They value that time so much more than the parents who can't give them back.
Well, yeah, because they're working, and then,
Yeah.
sometimes they have 3 or 4 kids. I was in that boat too. I mean, I raised
Yeah.
kids too. And now they're teenagers. They won't let me read to them anymore, so I got to read to everybody else. But
That happens.
yeah, unfortunately,
That's
but
amazing.
but they were able to. My kids are old enough now that they are able to help me. Like study the covers and say, "Well, I like that picture better than this one."
Oh.
So there's a lot of good that comes with
Interaction.
them.
They're helping you
Right,
out.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Little family project.
Exactly. Well, and the whole Tater book was family because we did that as a homeschool project.
Yeah.
And so in my book, Tater and the Dinosaurs of Montana is all about 20 of the dinosaurs discovered in Montana.
Mhm.
And all of those notes, all of the writing, or the whole book is from our notes that we took
So
in a
cool.
homeschool paleontology course. I know. And so, but that's why the book was so easy to write because we had it all.
Right. You had it already all written out. It sounds like something that's a pattern for you. It's
Yes.
always written out.
Oh yes, I have more notebooks than most other people have anything else. But yeah, they're all pieces and parts of notebooks and notes and writing. Oh yeah. And
That's
I
awesome.
got
That's so exciting. So fun.
oh no, it's just yeah.
So, how do you go about creating a new character or story when you first start?
Oh boy, that's fun too. So I live in the village, I mean, Tiger is the writer, and so I live in the treehouse, and I watch all of my little characters. And when I read and reread my stories, something comes up every time. And but so I'm stuck.
That's okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to get a question that leads into Penny. How far ahead are you in thinking about a new character?
Sometimes when I ask people questions, they don't even answer the question and they just say whatever they want to say. We can reframe that question though, to go around Penny.
Yeah, let's see how would I lead into it?
As the keeper of these stories, how do different characters stand out to you maybe?
Tell me about the characters and when and how or why you decide to write about a particular one.
Yes. So tell me about the characters and how and when you decide to write about a specific one.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so Sawyer was the first one,
Right.
and I had to do everything from his perspective. And I knew that his book was going to be titled Sawyer's Always in Trouble right away. On the way home when I was cuddling this stuffed animal, I
Right.
knew. And but all the other characters in the story want to tell me their stories. But the fun part is that there's a bear in my story. And so the it says the door between our worlds is hidden to most, set deep in a cave above the west coast. There stands a door designed with care and guarded by a big, mean, hungry bear. And so this is the picture that captivates everybody in the book. And so as soon as I turn to that picture and I read that part and say, this is the bear. And he's this imposing bear, and you can see it's this little cave door. And you're thinking to yourself, how do I get into this world around this big bear? And so this bear's been on my mind since 2022. I was like, okay, bear, first off, you're not big, mean, and hungry. So what's your story? And so I had to think and think and think. And I decided, okay, I know exactly how I want this bear's story to go. But I needed him to have a friend, somebody that would be, with him.
Right.
And so, but it took me, well, so I invented hang on. So I invented the bear to guard the door. But I didn't have any more of the story filled in for him.
Right.
And so then I decided, when I was young,
Uh-huh.
I had a stuffed animal all the time. I loved teddy bears, and my teddy bear would eat pizza with me. It would, sleep with me. It would go on sleepovers with me. I would take it with me to grandpa's, and my grandfather would play with the stuffed animal and sing little songs and make up things. And so the more I thought about that, the more I thought, oh, yeah. Okay, so the bear is not a big, mean, hungry bear. He's a loving teddy bear. And then boom, I started writing his story, but I didn't have who was going to have the bear. And so I thought and thought and thought, and then it finally came to me. And so there's an incident where cause Sawyer, he's in trouble in every single book. And
Yep.
that's the fun thing about Sawyer. You can depend on that. And so Sawyer gets in trouble, and I end up making up the story, ended up finding her name. So I finally named the little girl Penny. And as soon as I named her Penny, then it was Penny and the bear. And then I thought, okay, how am I going to go about that? What are we going to do? And then I started thinking about what I did, like the day that I had with my grandfather, and what I would do with my bear and all the places we would go and all the
Oh,
things and all that
yeah.
this that. And so that was my inspiration. And my grandfather is in the book. He drives the train and his name is Lewis. And so of course she goes and visits Lewis and she rides the train. And so I had the middle of the book before I had, even the end or the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
But I knew kind of how it was going to go and that it was going to be with my grandpa.
So cool.
And yeah. And but I get inspired by little things like one of my characters, Dusty Buckaroo. I haven't even finished his book yet, but all I could see was gray and browns, just gray, brown, and tumbleweeds and this and that and the other. And I can envision it all, and I can hear it, and I can smell it. I don't know what my character looks like yet, but he's there. But all of a sudden, I can envision what I want in a book and what I want in a story. And so I just sat down and wrote it.
Yeah.
And I just what do I want to learn about? And so then I would just research one at a time, like ghost
Yeah.
towns. Oh, let's research ghost towns. Da, 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 da. And then so I would write, 2 pages on that and go through, and then boop, I had a whole book. And so then it takes a little more time, and I have to wait and wait, and then I might think about what he looks like. And then I
Whoa.
might think about what the background looks like. And it often starts with a color or with some specific thing. Like I have a lasso and a saddle in mind, and it has to cover the whole spread of the book. And so in going with that, now my vision is getting more and more narrow and more doable. And but as far as who do I decide to write about next, it's whenever they kind of come up and say, "Okay, my turn."
Yeah, they're
Because
tapping you on the shoulder saying, "Hey, I'm here, Tiger."
well, a funny story. So last year we were on our way to Oregon, and uh, I knew that my police officer was named Pete, and that he has the worst luck ever. And Bad Luck Pete is my only police officer that can solve anything but crime. And that's all that I knew about him. And so we're driving to Oregon, and I kind of thought, well, I kind of want to do a story on Pete. And I was thinking of all the times that I had bad luck, when this happened, or when I
Right.
tripped, or when I dropped my birthday cake, or when all these fun things that just happen and life stuff. And so then I just started rhyming it with Bad Luck Pete. And the next thing you know, and I was out of internet. When you don't have internet, you're super limited. So I just started writing, and I do longhand, wrote it in a notebook. And I just started writing all about Pete. And 10 pages later, and yeah, by the
Whoa.
time I finished him, I was sitting on the beach and doing the last words of Bad Luck Pete. But so now I know everything there is to know about Pete.
Yeah.
And here's the fun thing. We won't even know it until years from now, but I know who's in love with Pete. I know when Pete's bad luck stops. I know when he's going to solve a crime. And
That
yeah.
is so cool. And they're probably telling you.
Yes.
He's probably telling you, hey, don't forget about when I solved that one crime. My very first crime I solved.
Well, yeah, and especially when I can't sleep, when everybody in the house is asleep and
Right.
nothing's going on, and I just start thinking and thinking, and I'm always living in my little world.
Yeah.
And I'm always visiting. Okay, what is Magnus doing? Magnus is always doing something. His story's almost complete too, by the way. But then I just go to this person, and eventually something clicks.
Yeah.
And it might start out with a background image that I end up, generating. And I think about the background image, and I think, now, where does this background image belong?
Yeah.
And
Whose is
then
it?
right. And so, like, I have a bunch of trains. And so when I finally do write Lewis's book, a bigger one for Lewis's book, I got half of his trains already.
Right.
And Sawyer, he loves trains, so I've got all these trains. And but I lost my train of thought.
They come to you and say, hey, I'm ready for my story to be written.
They really do. And yeah, they certainly do. And right now they're all poking on me. And so I'm writing as fast as I can. The fun part is, so I have Festus the Bestest, Thomas the Polar Bear, the Iceberg Incident, and Bad Luck Pete, Patch Loves Tiger, and Penny and the Bear, and Magnus and Agnes. They're all done. They're all done. I just haven't gotten the background images for them yet.
Oh, wow. That's a hefty task, though. I'll give it to you. That's going to take some time. It's not just, it's ready to go, but I need these little background images. That's a lot of work sometimes.
Oh, huge. It's the biggest part.
Oh, yeah.
And but honestly, the storytelling and the story writing is the quickest and easiest.
Yeah, the fun part.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I only did the writing, well, I'd have 30 books a year. And
Right.
but because I have to do it all, I gotta spread myself out.
Yeah, no kidding. I love that. I love it. Was there ever a moment for you where you thought, this is gonna work? Or were you thinking, I might be slightly delusional for doing this?
I'm both. Yeah. Oh, yeah, both. There were a whole lot of times that I thought, oh man, mostly for the money involved,
Oh, wow,
because
yeah.
you got to decide, okay, now here's this money and I can put it into a CD. I can, update the truck.
Right.
I can, there's lots of things you could do with it, mostly save the money,
Yeah.
for something. And, but we decided not to. We just said, let's go all in. And so we're just, one thing piled up on top of another, and
So you're not delusional.
no,
You've made it. You've made it.
For a while, I thought I was delusional, and for a while, most people were teaching me like I'm delusional.
Oh.
So, like, when I went into, I would tell somebody my story. For example, I pitched my story to a lot of people, publishers,
Right.
and they thought of me as a one-hit wonder. And one guy I just called on the telephone, and I said, well, so I'm looking at this and that and the other, and I've already written 5 books and I've got the background images and I've got, this and that and the other. And he said, yeah, okay. You're the 5th person that's talked to me today. I tell you what, you send me $14,000 and we'll talk about promotion, okay? Yeah, okay, I'll get right on that. Awesome. Okay, we'll see you later. And thanks a bunch. And do you need my email? Absolutely not. I got it right here in front of me. Right on. Okay, and so yeah,
Quick
and
conversation there.
yeah, very quick. And so, but it I never really thought I was delusional, but here's something that inspired me. And I'm going to get a little snarky. Here, something that inspired me was all the people that didn't believe in me.
Yeah.
And there were plenty, plenty,
Yeah.
and including my dad.
Oh.
But that's okay.
Right.
Because
It makes it powerful now.
oh, every time somebody said, well, you're not going to be able to do this. I even had a publisher and I asked them, I said, do you think that one day I'll be able to do everything, including my own ISBN and publishing? He said, no. And so for some reason, I didn't say anything when he said that. I felt more powerful than anything in my whole life. And right at that moment is when I decided, not only am I going to cover have my name on everything, I'm going to get so popular. My
Yes.
name is going to be a household name. And you are going to have to think about that one hit wonder idea you thought I was. But there were people at my church that didn't think I could do it. There were people everywhere that they say, "Oh, that's really cute. That's so cute." So I'd love to back up and tell you a story if I could.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so in 2023, I hit what I thought was rock bottom. But rock bottom is never rock bottom, is it?
No.
You go further. You go further than rock bottom. And rock bottom has a rock bottom after that. And so I found myself in the latter part of 2024 at the most rock bottom I've ever been in my life. I had just a couple of months left of money. I was living in an RV park and I did not have my children. I was really doing nothing but writing poetry, very deep poetry, and not the books. I wasn't writing the children's books
Not
at the
these
time.
books.
Not the little charming little books. I was writing some deep stuff, and I knew that I just had a few months before all the money ran out, and I was going to lose my kids altogether. And there was so many challenges. I just couldn't stand it. And my health was deteriorating. I was blind in my right eye. I'd just gotten over shingles.
Wow.
It was horrific.
Lowest lows we're talking here, people.
Yeah, and then you hit rock bottom further. But at the same time, the Lord sent me an angel, an absolute angel. So I'm sitting in this RV park, and actually, the day that he moved in, so I just finished writing one of my darkest poetry works, yeah. And all of a sudden, now there's gobs of empty spots in this RV park, and I'm kind of in the middle. Well, next door to me pulls up this little camper. And I thought, are you kidding? With all the spots, I get somebody literally right next to me. It turned out to be the nicest guy I've ever met in my whole life. He is 12 years older than I am, and we became friends right away. And I found myself confiding a lot in him, and we struck up this great friendship. He saw me at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to let you stay this way. And so first off, we had to get me fixed.
Yeah.
But it started out where I had to ask him if he wouldn't mind taking me to get eye surgery. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
It's like, I would like to know if you could take me to go get my eye surgery done. And, but he said, yes, I will. And so he took me for coffee, and he held my hand during this little procedure. And then he took care of me, later, and got me something to eat.
Oh,
And so, yeah, no, he was so darling. The story gets way better. So the closer I get with this darling little man, and of course, I've been through a lot of trauma in 2023 and 2024. I don't even want to describe the amount of trauma I was going through, but it was really bad. And I was really holed up, and I really thought that this was my last year.
Yeah.
That I wasn't thinking about the stories much or anything. But I love Glacier National Park. And so, he knew it, my new friend.
Yeah.
And so he would say, well, let's go to, let me take you on a drive to Glacier Park. I said, oh, okay, I guess I
Oh,
can use a
yes,
drive,
yeah.
and he said, well, I'll buy you a coffee and let's just get you out of the house.
Yeah.
So I started opening up to him.
Uh-huh.
And so he would, well, tell me about your writing. So I would read him some of my deep poetry and we would both cry.
Right.
And then I started reading him. I read him Sawyer. First, of course, I read Sawyer first.
Right. That's
And
you.
he said, oh my goodness, this is amazing. What are you going to do with these stories? I said, I don't know, man. I'm barely surviving. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything with these stories. And so he says, well, what else you got? So I read him Bosie Joe. He said, wow, Holm, what else you got? And so I read him Festus. And then I'm just opening up. Meanwhile, we've got, a friendship going.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is that, so I invented this character named Patch. Patch is the doctor, the lawyer, and chef. He's blind as a bat and almost deaf. And the only reason why I invented him at all is because Sawyer needed a lawyer. And so he's this dapper little gray-headed fellow, with gray beard
Yep.
and smiley, and he's the one that helps everybody. And but Patch manifest right in front of my eyes. And so the character that was only supposed to be in the background as the lawyer phew, suddenly had this whole story. And I got to tell you about this guy. Um, so first he said, we're going through Glacier Park and we're talking about the stories. And he said, is there anything I can do for you? And I was down in the dumps. Like I
Yeah,
said,
that means a lot.
right.
It's a lot coming from just a friend.
But yeah, but you remember I was rock bottom. And he said, is there anything I can do for you? And I thought, well, this is a shot in the dark. And I said, I'd love to have my children's books published, because I had already read them all to him and he was enamored with the characters himself.
Yeah.
And so a week later, I was in somebody's office and we were talking about publishing. And so he came to me later. Now I'm still in the RV park.
Yeah.
And he said, is there anything I can do for you? And winter's coming up and I really don't know what to do. I don't even know how to winterize my trailer that I may not even be able to afford in 3 months. And he says, well, I'm not going to let this happen. So he rented me an apartment. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. And I was able to get my children my children started coming back and
Yeah.
visiting.
Yeah.
And he would help me. He was supporting me as I was trying to get my life back together.
Right.
And then so he said, is there anything else you want to do? And I said, here's a funny thing. All of my stories take place in Oregon because the cave to get into my world is in Oregon. I've
Yeah.
never been to Oregon.
Oh.
And I've been writing about Oregon since I was 14. And so I wrote a children's story about two sisters that find a haunted house in Oregon when I was 14. And so he said, you never been to Oregon? I've never been to Oregon. I've hardly been anywhere. He said, done. The next week we're on the road and I was on the beach in Oregon. I was like, oh, this is the ultimate. This is so crazy. And so he comes out on the porch with a cup of coffee. He said, is there anything else you want? And I said, my characters live in tree houses. I don't know. Can we go to a tree house? And he said, done. And I spent Christmas in a tree house built by treehouse masters. Yes, we're laying there and the rain is falling on the roof. It was so incredible.
Whoa.
It was so amazing. And it was the first time in 2 decades I felt safe. I was safe. And my character Patch was right there, just like he was in the book. And so I wrote Patch Loves Tiger, all about this man falling in love with Tiger. And the whole story is just all about him. And so he says, is there anything else I can do for you? And I said, aside from the apartment, I'd love to get a house so that my kids will, it was a 2-bedroom and it was
Yeah.
squishy. And plus it was off season. So we were booted out by May for them to have, high cost
Yeah.
people. And I wasn't going to make it.
No.
And so I said, I'd really love, to get a house. And so I
Right.
can, my kids,
Yeah.
I want them back and I want homeschool back and I want my whole life back.
Yeah.
And he said, done. And so I now live on a golf course in a house big enough for all of us. And so when it was all said and done and everything was rocking and my kids just loved Patch and everything was happening, I said, Patch, is there anything I can do for you? And he said, yeah, marry me. And so we did. We married ourselves in Glacier Park in May 3rd of last year.
Wow,
Yeah.
congratulations. I'm so
Thank you.
happy for you. That's such a beautiful story. Oh my gosh.
And
You guys need yourself a patch out there, okay? If you don't got a patch, he's not the one.
So after we got married in Glacier Park, I knew that I wanted to write a book that had Glacier Park in it.
Yeah.
And that's how Huckleberry Roo came to be.
Yeah.
So at first I was just going to narrate it with a book by Ranger Reuben that looked like Patch.
Oh.
But about a month before I published, Jerry, my husband, he said, well, how about we have a little girl and let's name her Huckleberry Roo. And she can be the narrator of the Glacier Park book. And then, we can have in there about when we got married and everything. And I said, oh, you got it. And so all of a sudden I could see Huckleberry Roo and I just knew everything about her. But she was the last part. She was the last addition to the book.
Wow.
And it's her book.
Yeah.
And so I got to write the dedication to Patch.
Yeah.
And I didn't let him see it. He had to wait until the book came back from print in order to read his dedication.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
how did that go?
Well, he cried and I cried. And
I probably
I
would have
did.
cried too.
I don't have the book with me, or I would read it and let everybody cry.
We can put it up on the screen. Check it out.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be doing a reprint with you guys here really soon, within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to print that Glacier Park with you guys, the Glacier Park book.
Yeah.
And it's going to have the dedication, and it'll have the pictures in there with Patch and I, and all about, Huckleberry Roo's trip to Glacier Park. And so you guys, Printing USA is going to have that book here in a couple of months.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm sorry, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. So no problem with that. And so
Cool.
then everybody will get to read it.
Yeah, exactly. Woohoo! Okay, now we're on to 7. Okay, perfect. Yes. So you started writing when you were 14. You started writing when you were 14 and got a little bit more serious in 2022, but didn't end up publishing until 2025. So what happened there?
Well, life hit me with some hardships.
Yep.
And the rock bottom I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And so my writing changed a little bit, and
Yeah.
I really didn't have support. I had no support until I met Patch.
Yeah.
And but he was so supportive.
Yeah.
And when everybody else around me just thought it was another one of my harebrained ideas, he was like, no, you're going to succeed. You watch and see. And he was just with his pom-poms back there going, Tiger can do it. Tiger can do it. And it was just, and so, I wasn't going to quit after that.
Yeah, no, and with a gentleman that says done to anything you want, you better be ready to say done back.
Within reason.
Within reason. That's so awesome. I love that. I love that story. It's something I won't ever forget, Tiger.
Right, me neither. I know. But I do have a blog. One of the blogs
really?
about when the RV park where we met.
Oh, yes.
They let me do a book signing there once. And so, long after we had, I think we were married. Yeah, we were married and we came back to visit.
Uh-huh.
And they were having this big party and barbecue. And so we went home and got our tent and came back. And it was great.
That's awesome. Now, that's a story you'll tell the RV park and they're like, that sounds like pretty good marketing.
Yeah, well, so there's a blog written, and I've got a couple more blogs ready as soon as I can figure out how to upload it myself.
Right, yeah. Blogging can be difficult.
The writing of it is easy, but I can't get the picture in the right spot, and it has this a blank page. So I just keep reading the guy. You'd think I could do something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, I could write 11 books and illustrate them and make up the characters and margins and understand everything about it, but I just can't do
I can't write a blog.
Well, I can write it, but for some reason I just can't get it onto the website. It's
right. It's tough.
I'm oddly challenged, as far as like media. I don't have Instagram, and I'm struggling with my Facebook, and it's funny what I can do, and then all the things that I haven't figured out yet, and waiting for for those two things to bridge.
Yeah, you're gonna have one of those little gnomes saying, "Hey, can you put me on Instagram? Can you put me on Instagram today?"
Well, and I have all these ideas, but I have no idea how to
do that.
I know, and so the more I learn,
Right.
This time next year we'll have another podcast, and I'll tell you all about how I did that.
I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it, Tiger. just gotta know, what about the gnomes? How did that start?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
say, well, I don't even know. So just a few years ago, I fell in love with. I didn't gnomes were kind of a okay thing
Right.
until Sawyer. Until I saw that stuff Sawyer and him holding the train and he had all that personality in a 1 foot little stuffed animal and I was like, and then look what he started, a
Huge
stuffed animal.
personality. Yeah.
Yeah, and so but it could have easily have been bears and or raccoons or even a family, but that didn't sound near as mischievous as gnomes.
No. We're good. We got it. Let's go, Pat. Perfect. Okay. So do you want to just go from 9?
Yeah.
And we'll just skip that part?
That sounds
Okay, cool. So, Tiger, what advice would you give a young author looking to start writing children's books?
I would say to learn as much as you can. If you're a writer, learn to illustrate. If you can draw, learn to write. And the more you learn yourself, then you can figure out exactly what kind of design you want, and then you can figure out where you want to go with your story. And so the more you learn, the better it'll be. Now, the learning curve is hard, and I'll be flat honest with you, it can be discouraging and there'll be a lot of times that you'll be disappointed. But just don't quit. I mean, if I encourage anybody to do anything, it's just flat don't quit. And you can be discouraged with a particular project. You know, like for example, I've started a book and then had to put it aside because I just couldn't get anywhere with it. And so, where I was discouraged with that particular project, that's okay because I picked up with another project. And then would completely make that project successful and it would give me encouragement or often an idea to go back into what I haven't, finished. Yeah, and then here's another fun thing. So sometimes I'll put a project up, for example, my chapter book. So I stopped writing that book in 2011 simply because I couldn't figure out who the main bad guy was going to be.
Right.
Okay, so that's 2011. Okay, so fast forward to 3 months ago or so, when just a few months ago, when I figured out who the bad guy was. Okay, now I can pick up on the story when I don't have time, and but the story is still sitting there, all printed out and waiting for me to get to it. But so I didn't get discouraged, even though that was 2011. And so I didn't get discouraged. I just went to something else. And so I ended up making a YouTube channel and learning how to create and edit and this and that and the other and da 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 and do background things for the YouTube channel,
Right.
which led me into learning how to do something else, which led me into learning how to do the backgrounds for the books, which then, and then I was able to put a book to my poetry with in that way.
Oh.
And so now eventually I'm going to be able to say, yes, I wrote this book that I started in 2011, but I had to stop because I didn't know the bad guy. And so don't get discouraged. Just go from project to project and keep your imagination going.
Yeah.
Don't quit and say, "Oh, well, forget it. I'll just go and work in a retail store forever." No, don't do that. Just keep going, but just shift your focus of your of your energy, your creative energy. Shift that focus of creative energy and just keep going. Stay creative and keep writing, even if it's a little bit a day. Just write down a thought, something funny, a joke that you can maybe turn into a blog later. I have notes all over the house. It looks like a sticky note convention up in there, but it's fine because I'm eventually going to get to it. And,
Yeah.
and so will you. So, don't give up. Learn everything you can and don't give up.
That's perfect. And I think it's really interesting how you mentioned if one project slows down, just keep moving on to the next because it's kind of like a muscle. Your creativity is the muscle, not the project.
Yeah.
So you don't want to keep working on the project. You want to keep working on your creativity and grow.
Oh,
yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and don't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Don't say, okay, this is my pinnacle. Because my pinnacle, I started writing 20 years ago, and guess what? That story's long gone. And I can't even remember the guy's name I was writing about. Halfway finished with it, so and then I wanted to write devotionals, a couple of years ago and totally delved into that.
Yeah.
And wrote all these amazing, just awesome, funny, neat little devotionals, but I just never put the finishing touches on them. And so, but that got slotted to the back while I pursued another avenue of imagination. And there's no end to my imagination, as you can see.
No, so how did you pick like gnomes? Because that stuffed plushie could have been anything, and somehow the gnome stuck.
It did. I could have written about a bear. I could have written about raccoons, I guess. A village of mice. So I toyed with that idea, the village of mice.
Oh, really?
And because of my fascination with Redwall
Yeah.
and Brian Jakes' series with Redwall, and all of his heroes are mice, and
Yeah.
oh God. And so I was so fascinated with him. And some of my animation when I talk, I've actually seen him in person twice before he passed away.
Wow.
And I was so excited to see him the first time, and I was in my mid-30s that I cried
Oh.
because I was so in love with him and his storytelling.
Yeah.
And so I thought for sure that all my characters would be mice.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an affinity for bears. I love bears, the Berenstein bears. Oh, bears this, bears that. And hence Penny and the bear.
Yeah.
But nothing stuck and nothing was perfect.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute. And watching my kids grow up and, working in the library, being around a lot of kids and being a kid myself, I just can't grow up. And so I wanted something I wanted characters that would highlight the mischief that my boys and I have gotten into, or the
Yeah.
mischief that I can create, and even exaggerate anything that I can come up with. So, what is it that could be the most mischievous, the funniest? They got to be small, they got to be cute, they have to be sneaky, they have to be gnomes. And then it was just, oh, but Sawyer was a gnome, but so the stuffed animal that I happened to fall in love with that started it all was the gnome. And the gnomes rhymes with homes, and that's how I knew they were going to live in treehouse homes. And then the gnomes had to have a home, and so it had to rhyme with gnomes and homes, hence the word gnomes.
This is perfect.
So I got my gnomes and my cozy homes in the village of gnomes.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. It's just boom, boom.
But the more creative the wordplay got,
Right.
the better it was.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to just start with the one gnome. But like I said, decades ago when I wanted to write a book series and started all these books and everything, and even started one with a wolf, but nothing stuck.
Right.
Until I can put all of my mischief into a whole village of 40 characters and growing.
Yeah.
And I have enough mischief for everyone. So we're just waiting to see. And it had to be gnomes because nothing else was that curious.
No, and it really stands out too because nothing is really gnome like. And when you create your own gnomes, it kind of individualizes that gnome because
Yeah.
I've seen other gnomes and none of them are like Sawyer. They're all different. And so I love how all of the gnomes and gnomes just take that appearance and this is where they live. They're in this magical place and they have an adventure to go on.
Oh,
and there might be mischief.
Oh, always. But well, and two, the reason like some kids, leave it to kids to tell you the truth. But so some little 7-year-olds will come up, this isn't a gnome, and it's like, bless your heart. And so I have to say, here's what happened. So see, my clan of gnomes, and I love to explain this because when I say, oh, I know what happened, come here and I'll tell you, and they lean in, oh, well, why do your gnomes look like this?
Yeah.
And I'll say, because I wanted my gnomes. See, gnomes aren't born with beards, and they have a whole youth. And so there's not a kindergartner with a beard. And so I wanted all of my gnomes, my young gnomes, to be relatable. And then as they get older, they grow into looking like the regular gnomes look like.
Right.
That's why Jonas and Amos, who's 108, and all of them, they get beards,
Right.
they have the full beards. I didn't want to put a beard on any of the girls because I didn't want a beard. And I was in the I was in the village too. I was a gnome and I didn't want a
Yeah.
beard. So I was like, okay, women don't have beards. But the men, they all do. And even the like Toby, he's sort of my teenage gnome. So he has a goatee. And he also has chest hair.
Yeah.
And he wears Hawaiian shirts and has chest hair and a total goatee. So you see the hair start coming in just like you would an adolescent.
Right.
And so I sort of kept it a little human, a little gnomey. Yeah, a little like the total Swedish with all the hair.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to keep it in between that and go ahead and make them more relatable so that they looked more like kids.
Right.
And because, yeah, and
Interesting. I think that worked out so well because now that I'm like noticing, it was almost a given that my brain had interpreted them as younger gnomes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that worked out beautifully. I love that. And
Oh,
how Magnus, his beard is extra long compared to everyone else's beards. It's like so long. So you know he's 108.
Right. Well, Amos is 108.
Or Amos, yes. You know,
Yeah.
Amos's beard is so long.
Oh, Amos. Oh, he's such a fun character. He's in pajamas the entire time
Yeah.
and in bunny slippers.
Yep.
Because throughout the whole series, he's 108. He just wants to take a nap.
Yeah.
But the mischief that the whole village gets into, he just can't. He can't do it for putting out all the little
Extra mischief they're getting into. Amos is losing sleep over this.
literally.
Or writing a children's book can be super challenging for a lot of people, and a lot of people try and get into it. But I'm curious, do you have a secret code cracked for the plot, or is this all coming from imagination?
Oh, it's 100% imagination. So Sawyer, for example, I just kept rereading Sawyer, and the characters that I invented to go in Sawyer's book, they came alive. My imagination for Sawyer led to Festus.
Yeah.
And Festus is an entitled little brat who thinks that he knows everything because his grandfather gave him a very special ring. But he has a special little friend named Pickle Mouse.
Yeah.
And there's another little character that's going to turn his heart around. And his book is already written. And so, with Festus and with the moral of his story and how well that story went, is one of the reasons why I wrote Thomas so that I can introduce some more characters. And so Thomas is super funny story. His story's already written too. And actually in his story we get introduced to a polar bear. And this polar bear lost his home and lost his family, but he ends up with the gnomes. So now we have a gnome. By the time it got to Thomas and Bosie Joe's book, I had a cat, a mouse, an alligator, 2 bears, and a frog.
Frog. Oh, I love it.
Along with 40 gnomes.
Yeah.
And so all that led to this and led to that. And because I was in the throes of the storybook publishing, when my kids and I finished the homeschool program in paleontology, we had all these notes. Well, and I had Tater, and he was the perfect little character. And my oldest son, who likes Doctor Who, and which I'm so proud of him, he likes nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
But so he said, "Mom, this looks like Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor." And I was like, "You're right. Oh, I wish there was some way that we can make it. He's got to be smart." And so we started this conversation creating Tater, and we decided, let's make him a paleontology. Let's shove all these research notes together. Oh, yay! And maybe I was the only one going, yay! They were going, do we have to do that?
They're like, we wrote those to begin with, Mom.
Right. But yeah, they did help me with my notes, and but I just took all those notes, and then I started creating the idea of character of Tater.
Yeah.
And so with the popularity of Tater, because he's my most sold book, he's my most popular with the dinosaurs. Yeah. And so, but we wanted a little girl, because of course everybody does. And so so we made Huckleberry Roo, and we put it in the same style, the theme books with the Montana theme books. And so
those are so good, by the way. I just have to side note, you guys. These are so interesting. They have little fun facts. They have information about the animals. It's just mind-blowing, and it's something anyone could pick up and just enjoy fully.
Oh, yeah. I've had adults say, well, I don't have any kids, but can I buy one of your coloring books? books?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can I
Here
give
you
you a
go.
color box too?
Yeah,
Has a little
perfect.
sticker on the front with it. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and you were talking about the layout of that style of book and how there's a couple of them.
Oh yes, the theme books. Yeah,
Yes.
so the theme books, so the storybook section is
Mhm.
the Welcome to Gnomes, which leads into Bosie Joe. Bosie Joe leads into Sawyer.
Yep.
And that's the storybooks that I have now. So the
Right.
next storybooks that will come out are going to be probably Thomas's story
Okay.
and then Penny and the Bear.
Penny and the Bear.
And
Yes.
but yeah, I can't wait for her.
Same.
Yeah, but I got sidetracked with Tater, and the book became popular so fast. That's the reason why we stuck with the theme.
Yeah.
And but we're getting a lot of feedback because my background art is also gaining a lot of attention, and the background art is a lot of the art is the art from my books. And so many people have mentioned because I accent and I highlight trains, and I
Yeah.
love trains, and
Yes.
Sawyer loves trains. And my grandfather was an engineer, and he's in Penny's book, Driving the Train.
Aw.
And so I want to do a whole series with trains, and I have a
Yeah.
whole train
That'd be
book and everything.
cool.
Oh, yeah. So there'll be a whole set. Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you.
Tell me.
So Toby, he and I both have magic purple kayaks. I
Yep.
think you read about that in the
Toby's
legend.
awesome.
Oh, yeah. He's my namaste
And
guy.
I saw your picture, your
Yes.
matching picture. You guys got matching kayaks.
Yes, he's the best partner to
He
go
is.
kayaking with. Oh, he's great. So we're out
Coolest
there
gnome
on that
yet.
lake and just talking away about awesome stuff. Yeah, he's so amazing. He's going to end up being a hero for somebody else in about maybe 8 or 9 stories from now.
Woo.
But before then, because he likes everything water and he's always in the water. He has a surfboard, he has a kayak, he has this, he has that. And we know he's in the water. He wears nothing but Hawaiian shirts and
Yep.
shorts, flip-flops, and he's got a little chest hair and a shark tooth on his necklace. Anyways, awesome. And but I'm gonna put a snorkel on him and throw him in the Pacific Ocean, and here's why. Because he's going to do a whole book, a theme book, exactly, that's going to be along the same lines of the marine life on the
Marine-
West Coast because of Oregon and my ties to Oregon. And so, yeah, and it's a really big thing out there, the seals and the whales and all
whole
the animals. Oh,
coast.
yeah.
Yeah.
We even went to an aquarium that was it's unreal. I was having more fun with the average 12-year-old. I was like, get out of my way. There's a shark. I need to take a picture. But it was great. I mean, and I could just see Toby swimming with the sharks and the dolphins and the whales. I can't wait. And so the theme books there's a never ending line.
Yeah.
And then the other book's a never ending line.
Yes.
And I hope if I ever get discovered, what I'd really like to do is to do more park books. I want to go.
Yes.
I want to go to all the national parks. I
Yeah.
want to go to Grand Teton. I want to
Zion.
yeah.
Everywhere.
There's so many.
Yeah.
And but start along the west, and I just I would love to do them all.
Yeah.
And so the theme books are never ending, just like the stories are never ending. As long as I'm alive, I'm gonna keep writing them, and it's just gonna keep going and growing and growing and growing. And so, oh dear, I cannot remember where we were.
Oh, that's okay. That's exactly what we need. I'm loving it. I can't wait for more of both lines of books to come out because they're just so interesting and fun. And Toby's the perfect character to go in the water and discover all that marine life. He's just the one.
Well, like I said, he's my super namaste guy too.
Yep.
And so I don't know if you read the end of Sawyer, but he's the one that consoles Sawyer when he gets in trouble after oh no, wait, that's Bosie Joe's book. But anyway, so Toby, he does see, so Toby's the one that
Oh, he's
consoles
helping
him.
him.
Right. And so let's see,
Sawyer.
how does he say to him? It's okay, little dude. We all make mistakes. We'll fix up our village, whatever it takes. Toby winked at Sawyer, then hugged poor Todd. Let's find you a hat, Toby said with a nod. He is just the rockin' awesome guy that you
Yeah.
can always depend on. And he'll stay that rock throughout the whole series. But yeah, he rocks. And he'll just keep getting better and better.
I
Who
agree.
knows where I'll toss him now?
Yeah, he's gonna be in space next.
Oh, there are going to be gnomes in space.
Oh,
And
man.
here's the thing about the space. So if I get a chance to write a space book, excuse me, but I'm bringing back Pluto because what happened to Pluto, it wasn't right. And so- but yes, I will have a gnome in space. You got that right. And
Perfect.
tied to a little, I can't wait to invent the spaceship. Can you imagine a gnomey spaceship? I can't yet, but it's getting there. And so
Lots of gears. I'm seeing lots of gears.
gears, let me write that down. And so
This is
gears
awesome.
on spaceship. Okay, this will come in handy later. Thank you, Zoe.
You're so welcome. I can't wait to read it now. I'm so excited. I know what those gnomes. He was tugging on my shoulder. Didn't you see him? He came over here and he said, "Hey, there's gears on my spaceship."
Oh yeah, the gnomes talk to me too. In fact, a little boy came up and he ended up getting a book from me somehow. I don't recall,
Uh-huh.
but I had these little gnomes that are about an inch tall.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know that I give away
Yeah.
when you buy a book. Well, he put this little gnome in my pocket, and for some reason, I just thought this is the luckiest gnome ever. You know, this little kid
Mhm.
just went out of his way to make sure I had this
You
gnome.
had one.
And yeah, but so it meant a lot to me. But I'm able to use those to kind of, talk to kids. And for example, the last show that we were at, there was a family that came by and the little girl really wanted a book, but you could tell that the family just, wasn't really prepared for that. But something inside of me was like, no, I want her to have a book.
Yeah.
So I took a book, I signed it really quick, and I threw it in a bag. And then I grabbed one of the little gnomes, the tiny little inch tall gnomes,
Right.
and I went to her and I asked her parents, I said, "Can I give your daughter something?" And they said, "Yeah." And so I handed her the book and I said, "Hey, I have a favor. I have a friend of mine and he really wants me to give you this book. Would you mind?" She's like, "Oh, yeah," because she saw the book. She said,
Right.
"Oh,
This is the
yeah,
one
I
I
want one of
want.
your books. Yeah, I really do." And I said, "Well, this friend of mine is really," now I had him in my hand
Oh,
and she couldn't see that the
yeah.
gnome was in my hand. And so I said, "Is it okay to, my friend wants to go with you and be with you and live with you forever.
Yeah.
And would you take care of him? Do you think you would? Because he wants to be with you." And by that time, she was like, "Oh yeah," and she was just nodding, and her
Uh-huh.
eyes were humongous. And so she still couldn't even see the gnome.
Right.
And so I had him cupped in my hands, and I whispered to him. She said yes. And then so her parents went yay, and the guy behind the other booth went yay. And it became a big deal. And so
Yeah.
I dropped her little friend in her hand. And while she's standing there looking at him, I ran off.
Oh my goodness, how magical though.
And I hope she didn't see where I went.
Yeah.
I hope she was just looking at the gnome. And but by then her parents were, all around. And so, but
Yeah.
that's what I want. That's what I love. That's what I like. I want to just share my stories. And I want to share the love.
Creating magic.
Yeah, creating the exact magic,
Yeah.
exactly. And just bringing back kindness,
Yeah.
and
That's huge.
that's a huge theme in my books too. Like Sawyer, he gets in trouble, but by the end of the book, I promise you're going to be in love with him.
Yeah.
And Festus, he starts out nasty, but wait till you see how he gets turned around. It's unreal. Nobody else has thought of this story before. And and then somebody else, and then I have another character that is Sawyer's arch nemesis. Well, we'll find out her story and why, and that. But it's all just coming back to,
Kindness.
kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how to be with one another. Because it
Yeah.
seems like that is a lost art, and we're all stuck behind phones and we don't play outside together anymore. There's no
Yeah.
teaming and games. And
Yeah.
there's no sense of village. And that's
Mhm.
another thing. I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
So cut this if you want.
Sure.
But so my village actually represents heaven to me. And because we have no money, we have no internet, no social media. We have a bus and a train, and Pete drives the bus, when it's not broken.
Mhm.
And then we have the train, and that's it.
Right.
But there's no money. If you want something, you go to a store and get it. We have the bookstore, we have the library, everybody has their own treehouse, everybody has this, and it's my version of heaven because
Yeah.
and everyone around you you love them all.
Mhm.
They're all your adopted family, and it's all what I want my heaven to be like, you know?
Right.
And it also came about, and I don't know how you're gonna edit this out. So my whole village idea, while I'm on the subject,
Yeah.
my whole village idea came about because I was really involved with the church growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all these families, like 20, 25
Right.
families that would kind of come and go, but
Mhm.
there was always like 20 kids, and we were all
Yeah.
about the same age.
Yeah.
And so we would go on these little adventures and we would play games, and I knew all the adults, and I would go to somebody else's dad for advice, and they
Mhm.
might go to my dad's advice, and then we would go on picnics, and we would go on, to basketball camp and fishing trips and all kinds of things. And so we had a village. I
Community.
had a village
Yeah.
growing up. The whole phrase, it takes a village. I had a village. And so, but the whole idea of the actual having a village is a loss.
Yeah.
And we don't meet in communities anymore like that. It's rare.
It is.
And I miss that aspect of childhood and that aspect of unity. And so I invented from my past and brought into what I want heaven to be like for me,
Yeah.
which is surrounded by all the people that I love. And we get into mischief, but there's no real trouble. We have
No.
a police officer, but there's no real crime.
No.
We have stuff that we need, but we don't need money for it.
Nope.
We want to eat, but we don't need to cook it.
It just
We don't need to
happens.
grow it. We don't need to do anything. It's just there. Patch cooks it, or somebody else.
Yeah.
Agnes bakes a cake, and either way, it shows up.
Yeah.
But and everything is a labor of love.
Mm.
And so that's how I hope that heaven is like. And that's
Yeah.
where I want to be.
Yes, I love that. And I love how it's in a children's book too, because you're teaching community from a very young age and what
Yeah.
that looks like, modeling it for the kids through
Yeah.
Gnomes of Noms. Like,
Right.
it's so perfect. And I hope that in the upcoming future, a lot of that community comes back.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
And it's I I really do see a movement of evolution now, that it does seem like we've kind of gotten over our fear of each other. And to
Yeah.
me, despite what the television says, I really honestly feel a love for people like I haven't before.
Right.
And I don't know if it's my age or my success and the
Yeah.
fact that I meet so many people now, and they don't see me as a regular person. They see me as a writer.
Right.
They see me as something cool, where I just feel like the same old girl. And but it's
Let me tell you, you've always been a writer and you've always been cool.
but I can't even remember where I was going with that. But yeah, it just because they see me, I think, different, when I still feel
So
just like
similar.
them,
Yeah.
and but I want everyone to have the success and the love and the joy and the give and the kindness and the expression that I have.
Right.
And that's another reason why I write devotionals,
Uh-huh.
and because I want to teach uh, how to be more like the Lord. And that's the
Yes.
whole point. I mean,
Yeah.
I one of my favorite memes ever is is this guy, and he's got on like 20 pairs of glasses, and he says, I'm trying to find in the Bible where it says be yourself. And because it ain't in there, it doesn't say be yourself, it says be like Christ.
Right.
And so
Right.
I want to bring that element back.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and get out of ourself and get back to giving
Yeah.
for others, and get back to compassion, and get back to
The village.
the village. Yes. And I ultimately, I would like to eventually pray with people,
Yeah.
and just for people to come up, and for my devotions and for my faith to show enough to where people will say, okay, well, what is it that you know that I don't?
Mhm.
And tell me how to, or something,
Make
or
it
just,
there.
or
Yeah.
will you even pray with me?
Yeah.
I just want to pray with people. I wish that the whole world knew me as who I
With
am
your
now,
faith. Yeah.
because I want to give back so much. And I have so much to give. As much imagination and stories as I have is as much love as I have for everyone, people I don't know.
Yeah.
I pray every day for the brokenhearted. I pray every day for, anybody going through stuff. I pray for just scores of people that I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's because I love all of those people. And it's, we all want to be together in heaven eventually. And I want everybody in my village. And I meet all these people and I just want them in my village. And it's the same thing. I want you in my village. I want you in my heaven.
Yeah.
And so I want the whole world to know me and to know that I want them in my heaven. I
Yeah.
want you in my village. That's why I tell you in the first book how to get into my world.
Right.
And you have to read the book to find out, but then
Yes.
you have to read the good book
Gotta
to
read
find
it.
out. But you have to read the good book to find out how to get into heaven. You got to
Yeah.
read Welcome to Gnomes to find out how to get in the village.
Yep. It's so similar, and it's just creating community and building others up, helping them, and letting them know that there is a village and that there is people like you who care and that are there for them and looking to pray with them even at a book signing or somewhere simple. Like,
Yeah.
you're not so different than they see you.
No. And yeah, exactly. And
So when you sit down to write the next book and you're thinking of all the gnomes and you've got your coffee, you're sitting at your PC ready to go, what does that look like for you?
well, it's funny. So some writers say, okay, I've blocked off this amount of time to write.
Uh-huh.
And then they actually sit down and write.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's a gift I don't have.
No way.
So as much as I can write, here's my process. So
Yeah.
my process is kind of like this. I'm totally working on something else or vacuuming the house and I have this great idea. And then I toss everything that needs to be done up into the air to go and write notes, sticky notes all over the place. My whole house looks like a sticky note convention. It's terrible.
Oh, wow.
So it usually just starts with an idea.
Mhm.
Or often I'll be sitting at the computer and I'll be working on my artwork.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm working on a piece of artwork and
Uh-huh.
I'm just working, and suddenly the whole thing just comes to it as a story to me.
Oh, wow.
And then I might even invent a whole story off of a picture. Or
Right.
I might be
It
able
just
to
comes to
complete.
life.
Right. Well, as for example, so in Penny and the Bear, I wrote half of Penny and the Bear, but then I was stuck. So I went in and I started doing all these drawings of bears. And what would the bear be doing? So I had the bear, just a black and white. He was eating pizza, and then he was at the fair, and then he was eating a donut, and then he was on a sled with a jacket, and then he was this. And then the next thing you know, I had a vision of what all he was doing. And so I abandoned all the coloring
Yeah.
and went straight over and wham, finished Penny and the Bear.
Boom.
And so process, there is none.
You're just flying on the seat of your pants, ready for whatever gnome steps up.
Right. Well, like for example, I have, at least 6 books completed.
Right.
And like in one of them, I know exactly the color I'm going to use in the theme, but I haven't figured out the layout or I haven't figured out quite some element. There's a missing element that I am not going back in. So I just keep dreaming about it and go to the next thing.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, well, what does this look like? So for example, I wrote a book and it was just about Montana. No title, no nothing, no narrator, nothing.
Uh-huh.
And so the whole book is written and it is adorable. It's got ghost towns and it's got the dinosaur trail and it has history and it has about the parks and this and that and the other. And so it's all ready to go. And all I could picture is brown and gray. And that's the only thing I can picture. In the time that I've written it, now I know the name that Dusty Buckaroo is going to be narrating. And I know the name is going to be Dusty Buckaroo Knows All About Montana, because he will.
Yep.
And so I know he's in a cowboy hat, and I know what is gray, and I know what's brown, and I know this, and I know that. I don't have his face yet, but I almost have the background that is going to be repetitive on each page.
Right.
That's in the same style as the dinosaur in the park books. And
love
so,
those.
but it's slowly coming together. But my process might be really fast.
Mhm.
And other times, for example, when I sat down and wrote Rue, the Glacier Park book, I think the background of her came so quickly, and it was I really don't even remember the process because I started with one page and I did the whole thing, the first animal, like I did the grizzly bear. So I
Right.
did the whole page with the grizzly bear and fixed all of it completely one into the other.
Oh gosh.
And however, I had 19 more animals plus an introduction and plus the this and that and the
Right.
conclusion and references.
Yeah.
So it just started with that. And then I, went ahead and added
Built.
yeah, and then I thought, okay, so every background will be this, whap, 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 and then that flowed together.
Right.
And then I said, okay, now the next animal is going to be this, and so then I would just transfer,
Just
everything.
one little tweak.
Right. And then, so as I'm writing about the one animal, I'm also looking for the pictures for it. And then I complete the next animal and then go on to the next animal and then go on to the next. So sort of like chapter
That's a
by
good
chapter.
process, though. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And never look like, oh no, look how much I have to do. Don't ever look at it that way because that's what stops people in saying, well, I can't write that much.
Yeah.
And my problem is that I have to cut back so much.
Yeah.
But it's easier to cut information than it is to find information or make filler information.
Yeah.
And so make a book good.
Yeah.
And that's another piece of advice I have. Don't make shortcuts. Make it good.
Yeah.
And if you have to go through 16 or 17 edits, do so.
Do it.
And the Yellowstone book, I was completely finished. And then there was a flow I did not like. And the pictures were all done. So I actually took the text out of every single page, set it aside for 2 weeks, and went back to it and wrote one by one each animal again. But I had to because with the flows not right, it won't be right for me.
Right.
And if I don't put out what I think is perfection, then I can't sell it.
Right.
And so it was worth the rewrite. And
Yeah.
it was worth the time. And but I had rewrote it 3 times. But look how great it is.
Yeah.
And now I have no hesitation to say this is the pinnacle.
Yes, this is the one. This is awesome. And we got to look at it earlier and looks great.
It does.
So I know you use apps like Canva and different tools like that, but is there one main thing that stands out to you that is just a super helpful tool?
Oh, all of Canva. All of Canva. Let's see. I actually put together about 4 apps, and I often go take an image or something from one app to another.
Oh, wow.
And so say I generate a character in Canva.
Yeah.
And now I might have to generate and generate,
Mhm.
and the process is sort of like this. So you set up, and I have an idea of who I want in my mind.
Mhm.
And so I write everything about that character, and it's what I want.
Yeah.
And then I just hit generate until the character that I want to look like comes up. Now, if one comes up and it's sort of okay, I might put them off to the side.
Oh,
And for example, one of the characters so when I was doing Huckleberry Roo,
right.
I must have generated 35 Huckleberry Roos.
Whoa.
And I completely tossed 30 of them, and 3 of them are still sitting there doing nothing. One of them became Huckleberry Roo, but the runner-up to Huckleberry Roo was so cute, she's going to be Penny. And so now I'm going to put Penny, that one that right now is dressed like Huckleberry Roo, I have to put her in her own clothes.
Yeah, Penny's clothes.
Right. And now I'm going to take that through another 2 or 3 programs. And I often will run it through 1 or 2 programs, don't like it, and I'll back all the way out, go into a whole nother program on a whole different
Yeah.
and see what that comes up with.
Yes.
And then I might get a hint. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But one little idea comes to another. But is there a specific tool? No, because I have found success often in so many avenues. And then I put it all together, which is why I say again, learn everything.
Yeah.
Don't learn one program and depend on it. Don't do that. Go to something else. Learn that program too.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know a whole lot about Chat GPT because I do so much writing raw.
Right.
And
right.
I don't need all of that. And see, to me, that's a time saver.
Yeah.
Because I used to be able to sit down and write 10 to 15 page research papers easy
Yeah.
within a week. And so all of knowing how to do that and the way my mind works with being able to come up with so much. I mean, give me any topic, sir, I can do it. You know, it's just a talent.
Very organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly. What a perfect word. So writing for me is super organic.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why it's so easy for me. And then the background art, it takes a lot of work, but as you can tell, I've been successful 12 times.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, I'm sorry, 11 times. It's about to be 12 with Dusty.
Yep.
But, and, you know, we'll find all that out soon.
Totally. So your best tool is probably your brain.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I just hope I'd never lose my thrill for talking to people. That's what encourages me the most. I've even had experiences that should have been negative turn out to be really positive. There was one little girl, she came up to me and she said, "Okay, so what's this all about?" She was like 8 going on 35 and, you know, like 4 foot tall, 60 pounds. And came up to me. Of course, you know, I'm not much bigger at
Right.
5 foot. And so that's another reason why I like gnomes, because I'm small myself.
Yeah.
But so she came up to me and she said, "Huh, what's this all about?" You know, like you can tell, oh, she lives in a snarky household. But that's
Yes.
okay. She's met her match. And so I went on to tell her a spiel in a way. I told the spiel a little bit different, you know, I spun it. And I did it on purpose so that I could make her think, because I could tell she was not impressed easily. So I spun it and she said, "Huh, good luck with that," with both hands on her hips. So she walked off with her mom and I laughed and laughed and I turned to my husband and I said, "Oh, did you hear that? That was so funny." So we had the best time laughing about it. And then as they were leaving, she came back to the booth and she said, "Okay, how do you get into your world?" And I said, so I knew my little trick worked. And I said, "Guess you'll have to buy the book to find out." So, but see, that was positive.
Yeah.
And there's always these really positive things. And I don't know how you're going to fit this into this story, but here's another story.
Yeah.
I go to the show with 7 books. It was right after Tater came out, and there's 7 books. And I'm talking to the grandpa. And so grandpa says, "Huh, hang on just a second. This is interesting. Let me go get mama." So he goes and gets grandma. And grandma comes over and I give the whole spiel again to grandma. Grandma says, "I love this. Hang on, I'll be right back." So she goes and gets a sister. And so she comes back. And next thing you know, I'm pitching to the whole family.
Yeah.
Well, grandpa's apparently the one with the money because the rest of them kind of wander away. And grandpa leans over and he says, "I'll take one." And I said, "Oh, cool. Which one would you like? Would you like, sir?" And he said, "All of them, one I ever won." "Oh, you do? Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And so I started signing it. "Oh, thank you very much." And before I finish signing them all, he'll say, "Okay, I'll take another one." Another? Yeah, another whole set. I'll make a long story short. He bought 4 sets, and they split it up with all of their grandkids.
Whoa.
And so if I didn't sell another book for another month and a half, that's all I needed was to impress that one family so much that they bought enough books for every grandkid.
Yeah.
Then he came back the next day and bought another devotional. So, "Oh yeah, we forgot to give so and so little Annie and left her out in the devotional." And so they picked up another one, you know, and so I gave them all the toys again and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, neato. But that has happened a lot.
Wow.
And where somebody will come along and they'll be interested enough and they're very attracted to the art.
Right. Yes. It definitely draws you in.
Oh yeah, and the storyline and the fact that I'm a local artist and stuff. And they'll just say, "Wow, I'll take one." One? And they mean all. And so we ended up having to make a bundle deal, you know,
yeah.
and so we bundle everything, and I have canvas bags and little toys and color boxes that I give away and stuff. And it turns out super cute. There's little mini bundles that you still get color boxes and things for. It's awesome.
That's so cool.
And yeah, it's pretty fun. But you know, and that's what I want to do is I'm never going to make money. And not the way I run things, because I'm willy-nilly, I give away a lot, you know, and I just my whole thing is I want people to be happy. And I want to share the stories that are fun and funny and awesome and about these characters that everybody relates to. I mean, we all have an uncle that acts like Jock. We all have somebody in our family like Amos,
Yep.
that has to take care of everything begrudgingly, that just wants a nap. And we all have a Sawyer because we all are Sawyer, which is why I wrote the devotional so that we can figure out how to pray about being Sawyer because but that's why I wrote Sawyer before his devotional, so you can
Right.
fall in love with him and you're like, oh yeah, because you, as you're reading, you root for him. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
You've been there.
right.
Yeah.
Well, not only am I reading it and I'm thinking, well, I would have done that too. Well, I wrote it, so of course I would have done it too.
Right.
But so I would have tripped Posey and I would have done this and I would have done that. But all of that leads in trouble. And guess what? We still have to go to Jesus about every one of them.
Yup.
So so it kind of leads into it, but I wanted to do that. I mean, I prayed to be able to do this.
Yeah.
My success I want to be for love and kindness and to push out the idea of to have grace for one another.
Yeah.
And that there's love in everybody.
Mm.
Really, there is. And oh, well, I know what I was gonna say when I said, "Oh, I forgot where I was."
Oh yeah, tell me.
Okay, so
I'll pop it in there.
Cut,
I'm
pop back.
popping it in there, everybody. That'll be my sign marker to all the cameras. We're going back in time.
But the greatest commandment is love. And so that's what the books represent to me is love that I can give other people. And so, and that's, it goes along with Sawyer, who celebrates Christmas every day, but he doesn't get a present, he gives a present away. So he might give away a poem to Jesus, or he might find a really cool rock and wrap it up and give it to little Dan. Or he'll find a really neat paper clip, and and he wraps it up in this special little thing and he gives it to somebody else. Or he saves half of a pudding cake and he wraps it up in this horribly sloppy thing to go and give to Patch later, which Patch enjoys, but he
Yeah.
has to clean up. And it's okay. But it's the giving, it's the love that you're pushing and that you're not pushing, but that you're offering. It's the love
Yeah.
that you're giving. And that's what I want in the stories is to give that joy.
Mm-hmm.
And in any way, if it's through a Montana book, if it's through a storybook, if it's through a blog, if it's through a devotional, if it's through anything at all that I can turn and make somebody happy with, then I want to do it.
Yes, and
It's
I love how you're sparking joy and you're also giving that unconditional love through Sawyer's story and just through the whole Nom's world. Like, it's amazing.
Oh,
It's really cool. It's teaching something more, really deep.
Yeah.
And it's not going into a really deep story, but it's a really deep world.
Yeah.
And a really deep collection of community. And I think that's so cool. And you kind of answered my next question, but I think I know what you're going to say. Do you think this is like children's books being educational is more of a passion first project or a money driven aspect?
No, definitely a passion project. You must do it for love.
Yeah.
You must. If you go into it thinking that it's a money making
Mhm.
adventure, the disappointment and the setbacks are going to crush the passion that wasn't even there to begin with. Because if you're chasing money and not chasing the passion, it's not going to work. If you
Yeah.
chase passion and you chase the love of writing, you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many books you sell. Like I'm going to be in the red forever. But that's fine because last week I made some kid happy.
Yeah.
And one time before Christmas I made somebody else even happier.
Right.
And somebody else, and this and that and the other. And this person already emailed me about one of the books that they bought for Christmas and they loved it and they can't wait to buy more. That's the sole reason why I do it, for just that little bit that I can give. But money making adventure, unless I get discovered, which I'm available, totally available for any discovery people that are willing. But you have to follow the dream and the love and the passion and the hobby. And if you follow those things and never think about a dollar sign, then you're going to be successful. And all of the dreams will always come true. And if I happen to make money, that'd be fantastic. But right now, I don't see that as
Right.
as I don't see that I'm going to make money. And like I said, unless honestly, I mean, I'm putting it out there as a joke, but if I get discovered, that's fantastic. I
Yeah.
have a chance.
Yeah.
But right now, with as much as we have to put in ourselves, I mean, we have to pay for our own hotels, we have to pay for this, pay for that, and we have to pay, we do everything ourselves,
Yeah.
which means it all comes out of our pocket.
Yes.
So we're always going to be in the red. But that's not why we do it. You know, if we were into, say, gold panning, we would put all our money into that, and then we would buy an RV and go gold panning. But it's what you do,
Mhm.
and you gotta love it. And I happen to have a product that people think make money, which is cute. And I encourage everybody to try that money making venture. But yeah, so good luck with that. And with my hands on my ups. And so oh boy, she was awesome though. I gotta name a character. I don't even know her name, but she's gonna end up being in the book. And that's another fun thing, you know, somebody comes by and like one grandparent, they came by and one of the minor characters that I mentioned in the welcome book, all I have is a name because I said, and then there's this person, this person, this person, this person. They said, oh, that's my granddaughter's name. And I said, oh, really? Tell me a little bit about her.
Yeah.
So they told me just this smidge because all I had about this character, Finn loves the rain. That's the only line I had. And so they told me a little bit about the little girl. Now she's in Penny. And so so Finn drives the train with Lewis. And so she is going to be in Penny's book. And later I might even grow that story. So Finn might have a story after all, you know, because hopefully they
Yes.
all will. But wouldn't it be great if it started because I met Grandma and Grandpa, you know, at a show in last November?
Yeah.
You know,
And that's the real money in it. Is meeting grandma and grandpa at that
Oh.
show and hearing about little Finn who loves the rain or just whatever they have to
Oh, yeah.
relate with. That's the real payment here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And the artwork is the big draw. Like they'll come, you know, you can see them look and they have the kind of this mono face, you know,
Mhm.
and they're looking and everything's fine. But they see the art and even though they don't know their books, they
Right.
come over and I swear, if I have 100 people come up to me every show, I get 50 of these questions. Are these books?
What? That's so
Because
random.
because they are only attracted to the art.
Right.
They don't their art is
yes.
so vivid that they don't even notice that they're books. And I have a 6-foot banner that says children's book series. But and you know, if you step away from the booth
Right.
when I have the big setup,
Mm-hmm.
you really can only see this splash of amazing color. You to somebody that has not been introduced to my books, you really would not know with all of the color. And then you got the lights going and you got the lanterns and you know, and the displays hitting you and spazzing you out.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but half of the people have to say, are these books?
Wow.
Because it just looks so phenomenal.
Yeah, they're so excited about the backgrounds and the pictures and the characters. That makes a lot of sense to me because I was kind of the same way. I know it's a book because I work here, but I was like, wow, this is so different than anything I've really seen come through the shop, and it's really original and it stands out. And so, what you're talking about when you're at those venues, like, I only imagine just those people walking by and just going, like, I need to find out more. Like, I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
curious now,
Oh,
just
yeah.
walking by, and brings them right into it. I love that. That's
And-
so cool.
And then I love to be really innocent up there because I'm kind of small, you know.
Yeah.
People are nice to small people.
Yes.
And so, so I just say, if they act interested or if they just even pause, I'll say, oh, can I tell you about my books? And I make it sound so cool. And then I go into the first book and I say, the village of gnomes is safe and sound, far away in a world that no one has found. And in my first book, I introduce the village and the characters, and I tell the reader how to get into my little world.
Right.
And as soon as I say little world, I've timed it to where I land on this page.
And you guys, just check this out. It's so fun. So fun. You guys got to get your copy. Seriously. I love this one.
But and so immediately as soon as I say, and this is how you get into the little world, and the page opens up, they go,
Oh.
And then I say, and then Bosie Joe's my avid reader. And we had this really cool event happen, a mysterious windstorm that blew the whole village down. And we find out what or who caused all the fuss. I'll give you a hint. It leads right into Sawyer, my favorite character, who celebrates Christmas every day of the year. But his book is called Sawyer is Always in Trouble. Come on and find out, read and find out. I double dog dare you.
Oh, that's
And
just perfect.
I end everything with double dog dare. And here's why. So on the back of all my books and even on the blurbs of my books, I tempt people, oh, read this book. Explore
yeah.
Yellowstone with me. I double
Yeah.
dog dare you. Explore Glacier with me. I double dog dare you. Find out about the dinosaurs. I double dog dare you. And it's my catch line because it's the line that catches Sawyer every time. Little Dan is always back there going, I double dog dare you. A double dog dare. And he can't, and it's even written in his book.
Yeah.
He cannot resist a double dog dare. And so that's, the reason why I adopted that catchphrase at the end is I double dog dare.
You know how little kids get obsessed with stuff, kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
your little gnomes. What were you obsessed with that you just couldn't get enough of and you were shouting from the rooftops and everyone was hearing it?
Well, I wasn't shouting so much as sneaking around. Funny enough, as small as I am, I was really good at basketball. And even into 6th and 7th grade, I
Yeah.
played basketball with the older kids.
Yeah.
And in 8th and 9th grade, I was on the varsity team. I was so small, but I was really, I was athletic, and nobody thought that a 5 foot all glasses girl could, but I could hit 3 pointers before 3 pointers counted. And so I was obsessed with basketball for a long time, but teddy bears and writing, and I started writing when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
But to be downright honest, what I was mostly obsessed about it had for decades and decades were books. And so Bosie Joe is my character. Bosie Joe is small, reads quite a lot. He's read everything the library's got. And that's how he is introduced. But he was me because I have lost decades of time with books in my face. I would walk across my college campus reading a book. And I've tripped over stairs. I've run into a wall and broke my glasses. I was reading a book and fell off of a treadmill. And okay, the book was so good, I got back on the treadmill. 2 chapters later, I fell off the same treadmill, same time. So I got off the treadmill to finish reading the book.
So you could finish the book. How to get off the treadmill.
But Bosie Joe is always trying to sneak away and read.
Right.
And that is who I was.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get enough of anything. And a history, okay, so I'll tell you something funny.
Yeah.
One of the coolest books I ever read was a college book called Indexing and Abstracting.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Yeah.
So nobody else is going to find that interesting, right? 130 pages and not a single person in my class got through it but me. I was going, this book is the best. I learned so much. And the whole rest of the class is going, we hate that book. We never got through it. And I was going, oh, gosh, you didn't read it. Are you sure you didn't catch this part up? But I don't know. I just tend to catch on to the written word.
Yeah.
And there are certain storylines, like I mentioned Redwall.
Yeah.
Okay, I was obsessed with Redwall, and now that could come out until I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I was just as obsessed, and in fact, Redwall, one of the series in Redwall is the book that I fell off the treadmill.
Oh.
And you're right. And so but yeah, there's just been a lot of books that I just love so much. And I reread and reread The Hobbit. And I have 4 different versions of The Hobbit, from a paperback up to some expensive thing. But book obsession, I think, has been my biggest obsession always.
Growing up and now.
And still,
Yeah.
yes. And when I was going to college, all these history books that the teachers would tell you to read, they say, well, you read this book and read this, you might want to check this out from the library. I didn't check anything out. I went and bought the things and read them all because there was not enough. And especially on a subject, a history subject that I really wanted to delve into. And I would absorb it until there was no more written word about it. And when they came out with databases in college, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Because then I could find my way around anything. Well, now it's
Right.
just ask Google.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels like a cheating where I had to actually research.
Right.
And but you know, it just so books, absolutely. The biggest obsession I've ever had is books.
I love that.
And so
So, jumping back into the books, if one gnome was running your marketing department, what advice would they give and which gnome would it be?
oh, well, I think it would be
Maybe a pair.
Sawyer. Yeah, Sawyer wants everyone to know not to give up. You know, to just keep being precious. And even if you get into a lot of trouble, don't get discouraged or
Mhm.
disappointed in yourself or anything like that, and to continue the kindness, because along with all the trouble, the whole point of Sawyer is that he's the best friend anybody's ever had, and he is the best known.
Yeah.
But just like how a puppy that's the cutest in the litter is also the worst behaviored puppy, that is what Sawyer is.
Yes.
And so, but I think Sawyer would say, just don't give up on your dreams. And I think probably Toby is very inspiring. He's like I said, he's my namaste guy. He's my cool-headed guy. It's okay. And so in Bosie Joe, he's the one that tells Sawyer, "It's okay, little dude." You know, and he's the rock, that one that just says it's okay. And I'll give you a hint, a spoiler. So you have to have a character that you don't like in the series. Like we had Lucy Van Pelt in the Peanuts, right?
Yeah.
Everybody hates Lucy in the Peanuts. So I have Posey, and everybody hates Posey. And there's a good reason everybody hates Posey, because she's mean.
Yeah.
But, but, so spoiler alert, we are going to find out Posey's story and why she is so upset. We're going to find out what happened in her little heart that broke, and Toby is going to fix it.
Aw.
And but it starts out with him taking her to the beach, and he teaches her how to squish her toes up until they feel the sand. And then he starts teaching her how to get a different mindset.
Yeah.
And so Toby's book is probably going to take forever,
Mhm.
because it will be one of the biggest teaching books,
Mhm.
which is teaching people how to talk to somebody who's really brokenhearted. And that is something that I really want. When I was brokenhearted and going through my worst, people don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And but I want to
Change that.
find a way to say what people need to hear. And so I put myself in, for example, I'm going to put myself in Posey's shoes.
Mhm.
What is Posey going to want to hear from Toby
Yeah.
that's going to bring her out of this stage? And so that book is going to take a long time, because it is going to be a whole learning experience. And just like how I want every kid to have a Sawyer,
Yeah.
because I want every kid to know that you're lovable even though you're in trouble.
Mhm.
And I want everybody to love Bosie, because even though you shirk responsibilities and you hide away reading and you don't you're never around when anybody needs you, we still love you and you're a part of the community.
Yeah.
And you know, the same goes with the other characters and stuff. And so, but all of my characters would say, don't give up in your dreams, and do what you love. If it's not writing, just do what you love. If it's skateboarding, if you want to be the best skateboarder ever or the best guitar player ever, just do that and make that dream come true.
Yeah.
And don't let discouragement bring you down, because you're gonna fail. If every successful person will tell you that they went through a ton of failures, and me too, I went through thousands of failures before one success. And you know, you hear about authors who have been rejected and have been waiting for decades to get something off the ground, and now they're a household name.
Yeah.
And they didn't give up.
Nope.
And so I can't give up, and neither can you.
Nope. We got to keep it going.
That's right.
So I'm kind of curious. We have a 70s theme going here because our Printing Center USA started in 1971. And so, if you went back to any decade, what decade would you be going back to?
Oh, I love this question, and now I'm going to twist it on you. I must stump you just a little bit. I would not go backwards. I would go forwards in time to next year when I have all the reprints of my book with Printing Center USA. And I also have other books like Penny and Dusty Buckaroo
Yeah.
is printed.
Woohoo.
And more people, so I want to go in the future and see how much further I can take the Gnomes and Gnomes. And will I have my devotionals? Will I have my train book? Who will I touch? What story is going to touch what person at what right time? And so I don't want to go back. There's
No.
no going back.
No.
There's never turning around.
No.
You cannot look behind you. Your eyes aren't back there, and neither is your heart. Your heart is forward. Everything is forward. So I would go forward to find out exactly who is having fun with my books now.
I love that, Tiger. That's awesome. And so, be honest, are you more of a cottagecore, magical forest type of person? Or are you a organized, creative, chaos type of person?
Okay, well, I would prefer a semi-rustic treehouse with a spiral staircase, colorful lanterns hung in the trees for lights, and a wooden upper deck where I can look out on the whole village and it's just all full of books. And in fact, here is I actually have a picture of exactly where I would be.
Perfect.
Right there. That is the deck
Yeah.
of my treehouse, and that is me.
Yes.
That's who I am.
Yes.
And that's actually my character in Patch.
Yeah, and Patch. I love it.
So
Loyal,
I believe
docile,
I would
everything.
describe that as rustic treehouse.
Yeah, I think you're a rustic treehouse too. And maybe sometimes there's chaos.
Oh, there's a
We are
ton
in
of chaos.
Gnomes, So gotta have the chaos in Gnomes.
Oh.
But
Piles of blankets and comfy chairs.
yeah.
Oh, and a teapot.
Oh,
Constant, never-ending tea.
What's your favorite tea?
Oh, it's got to be Rubus or no, Earl Grey tea. Earl Grey, yeah.
Yes.
But I'm also a coffee person, and I
Me too.
can slam down a whole lot of lattes. Yeah, me and my lot of lattes. I don't do nothing small when it comes to lattes, but that's the reason why I have 20 pounds too much. It's 5 foot tall, 5 foot wide. No.
You're so silly.
Oh wait.
All right.
Oh wait. So 19. Did you? Oh wait. Okay.
This
so
is the next one is going to be from rock bottom to publishing of Gnomes. What's the one
I am
thing
so
that-
so. Hang on. I choose to finish with special sin. Take the look out of the villain and write down the it. Okay.
Did we
Yeah.
miss one?
No,
Okay.
I had a second writing for the number 19, but let's skip it because we touched on all of it.
Okay, cool. So from rock bottom to the publishing of Gnomes, what's one thing that kept you going?
Absolutely my faith. So many years ago, even before I came up with the gnome stories, I wanted to write devotionals and I wanted to touch people's hearts with some of my devotional because they're funny. I mean, my devotionals are witty, and I wanted to touch people that way. And so I started praying, oh Lord, just give me an out, give me a way. I want to share. And so I think my prayers are answered.
Yeah.
But it looks a little bit different than devotionals right now.
Right.
However, I do have one, the first of many devotionals. But my faith, I don't know how I didn't give up. I don't really, when I look back, and Patch and I talk about it all the time, about how far I've come in 2 years when the odds were insurmountable.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense that
No.
I would go from living in an RV park with zip
Right.
to publishing 11 books and living in a safe, happy home and remarrying at my age.
Yeah.
But
Beautiful.
it really is. But I knew the Lord wasn't going to let me down. But even when I felt alone and I would pray, Lord, I feel like I'm alone. Did you forget me? Did I get forgotten? I wasn't. I was just in the waiting period. And I'll be honest with you, the waiting period's the worst. And because you're not in chaos and you're not trying to find your way, you're not there yet,
Yeah.
but you're in this odd limbo. And that's when the Lord is working. And that was probably the hardest test for me, was to be in the waiting between praying for what I wanted and then getting what I wanted. And it didn't come quite like I wanted or like I envisioned, but isn't that the whole point? So, but Romans 8:28, all things work together. Not some things, not a few things, not everybody else's things, all things, and that includes my things and your things and his things and everybody's things.
Yeah.
And but faith absolutely kept me going. And in just the nick of time, he'll save you every time. And but I say that probably the thing I'm most grateful for besides Patch is the Lord. And the fact that I had faith when I didn't think I did. And I look back now and I realize how courageous I was.
Yeah.
And now it's pointed out to me by people that I trust now, look how courageous you are. Look what all you've done. When to me, it was just another step,
Yeah.
but now I look back at the whole picture now and it feels like a movie because look how far he brought me from when I was praying in that dirty old bathtub, when I was living somewhere else, and all the way to where I am. And now sharing stories and sharing encouragement and just
Teaching.
creative aspirations. Yes. Just keep people interested in constantly following your dreams. And like I said, it doesn't even matter if you want to follow your dreams and be an alligator biologist. And I laugh about that because I have a cousin who is an alligator biologist. That's the reason why I have an alligator in my book. And you'll get to meet him in Penny.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's a lot of things
Stay
about
tuned.
Penny. But so just be good at what you do and love what you do. And and faith will take you through it. It really will. And yeah, I say put your faith in the Lord and not on what it takes to get the dream accomplished.
Right.
Just trust the process because it's long.
Yeah.
And it's heavy and there's going to be a lot of stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
But the whole point, I love this saying, why do you fall down? Why do we fall down? We fall down so we can get back up.
Yeah.
And so the more you fall, the more you get back up. You just get up better and better.
Right.
And that I'm living proof of that.
Yeah.
I was so tripping. I just kept getting up.
Yeah.
And people were going, God, why did she stay down? And I was like, because I can't. And I'm not going to. And I'm not going to fail.
No.
And I wouldn't. And I knew that the Lord was with me and I knew the Lord had a plan. I didn't know what it was, but you can bet that nobody was going to knock me off that rail. And so.
Not a chance. Not a chance. I love that. That's amazing. What a cool just story and everything that's happened so far. Like, I'm so excited for the next year for you guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Just wait till everything's over here.
Finally, how can our listeners find you on social, learn more, or even wait, I'm actually missing one, the devotional.
Oh yeah.
What was the question?
Oh yeah. What was the question?
Oh yeah, what's in the future?
So
What was it?
Yeah.
It was something specific that
Yeah,
you
there
wrote
was.
down.
I see you also write devotionals.
Okay, yes. I know you also write devotionals because we've talked about them a little bit. And tell me, what's coming in the future?
So I have enough devotionals written already to make 2 books.
Whoa.
And yeah, and so one of them is gonna focus. Oh no, I'm not gonna tell.
Okay,
I'm not gonna tell.
Don't tell. Don't tell.
But they're fun.
Yes.
And they're teachable moments that are witty. And but it's for everybody.
Right.
It's for people who know the Bible a whole lot and for people who just want to know or just learning. Yeah. But my devotionals for children are the ones that are the most special to me
Right.
because the whole thing that started the devotionals to begin with the children's devotionals
Yeah.
is because my kids would come up and say, well, this is happening and that's happening and I don't understand and I'm mad at my brother. And I would say, well, you can always pray about it. And I would say, well, I'll pray about it with you. Well, they don't want to pray with mom. Come on, they're preteens. And so they would say, well, I don't know how to pray, but whatever. And so I was like, okay, I'll fix that.
Yeah.
So I wrote a devotional to, go with Sawyer, my most relatable character.
Mm.
And so once you totally find out all about Sawyer and totally get to know him, then you get to go to Jesus with him.
Yeah.
But the whole reason why you're finding out all of everybody's little habits.
Yeah.
And like Festus is an entitled little brat. And Posey is mean. And Bozy Joe is never where he's supposed to be. And somebody else is somebody else and somebody else. And eventually I'll have, because everybody will eventually be able to relate to at least one gnome.
Yeah.
But we all have to go to Jesus for something. And that's the way it is in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to, once everybody gets to know my stories and my stories come out much more,
Right.
and then the devotions for the children, I'm going to pick up the
I
pace on that a big time.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to be able to have, for example, Ruth, a character that I'm keeping hidden for a reason.
Oh.
And Ruth is huge. And so, but I'm not going to say anything
Nope.
about Ruth because she represents faith. And so there's another character that might represent integrity. Jock represents
Right.
integrity.
Yeah.
And Amos represents loyalty and eldership. And, somebody else represents this. But so once, once we get to know the characters more, I'll be able to write the devotions. And I've already
Yeah.
started that to a point.
Yeah.
Where I've got so I know that Bozy Joe has these verses.
Mhm.
And now I just have to write about that.
Right.
And I know that this character needs these verses, so I'll write about that. And so the devotions are only going to grow because, I think that it's important for, we often as parents, and I'm a parent, so I can say this, we just don't have the time. And we don't have the time, and often we don't have the energy, and it's very hard to get a routine, a prayer, unless you're a really committed family, and not all of us are.
Right.
But if I can entertain enough and to where people love my stories enough, and then parents and grandparents who are Christians and want saved books, they're going to feel safe buying my books knowing that I'm going to have a lesson or a devotion or a verse. And the devotions are going to be to the devotions are going to the devotions I'm writing to help kids grow in their faith.
Yeah.
And to help kids learn that, one, the Bible's not very scary. I have some Bible puzzles in Sawyer's devotional. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And they're engaging and they're short. And if I can make it fun, then there'll be a growth. There'll be a seed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we need,
Yep.
And love will grow itself. We just have to
Yes.
plant the seed.
Totally. I love that one. Perfect. I'm glad we didn't miss that one and we came back to it.
That came out right. Okay.
That was perfect. And finally, how can our listeners find you on social, learn more, or even order the collection for their little ones?
Oh boy, I'm so glad you asked. So you can always find me at the gnomesofgnomes.com. So it's gnomesofgnomes.com.
Okay.
And yes, I encourage anybody to go to my website. On some of the flyers that I have that you will be printing will have my QR code
Right.
that will even take the listeners, or readers straight to the website. And now that I have my QR code, I'm starting to put them on my Facebook page, which I've neglected sorely, but I will get that on there. But yeah, my website is the best place, the gnomesofgnomes.com by writer and illustrator Tiger C Freeman. And the website is a lot less expensive than Amazon. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But no, okay, not
Okay,
gonna
we'll
say
take it
that.
out. That's
Okay, but the website is the best and most affordable place to get my books.
Amazing. Awesome. I'm going to lean over just so I can be in this shot. You guys, don't forget to check out the website at Gnomes of Nomz. Yes, at gnomesofgnomes.com. You guys won't want to miss this. It's super interactive, super fun, and you can meet almost all the characters on there and read their bio, check out more, and it's just a one-stop shop for everything Gnomes of Nomz. Huge thanks to Cami for sharing. Oh, Huge thanks to Tiger for sharing your story today and spending time with us. It's been a blast, and I'm just so thankful.
Oh, I have loved every minute of it, and I really wanted to give a shout out if I can. I just don't think in all of the podcast time that we've done, I haven't got a chance yet to give a shout out to the group at Printing Center USA. I'm here today because of the encouragement and the professionalism and the attention that I've gotten from you guys. And I published 9 books without you, but I won't publish any more without you at all. And that when I published 10 and 11 with you, it was a whole new height to my career and to my success. And I attribute it to you guys.
Well, thank
And Printing
you.
Center USA will have my business from now on with everything, with my prints, with my flyers, with all of it, because the service and the quality that I've received here is second to none in all of the time that I've been on my discovery adventure. And so actually the thanks goes to you, not me.
Well, thank you, Tiger. And it means a lot to us to be able to partner with you on these amazing books. And we are so excited for the devotionals, the activity books, the adventure books, as well as the story books. Like, we're just so happy for you. And we can't wait to see where you go.
Me neither.
Woohoo! Well, we appreciate you and the work you're putting into the world of print. And thanks for tuning in to Inside the Ink, where real people and real projects keep the presses rolling. Until next time, we'll see you on the inside.